Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us for this Men's College World Series press conference. We are joined by Texas head coach David Pierce. We will have an opening statement from Coach first, and then we will go to questions from the media. If you do have a question, feel free to go ahead and raise your hand at this time. Coach, please open us up with a statement.
Okay, thank you. Our club is just really excited to be in Omaha for sure. I know so many teams went through so many different emotions and just dealing with issues for the past year and a half, and to feel like we're back to some normalcy and our opportunity is here to play in Omaha is just exceptional for our team. And you know, we're looking forward to a great tournament. It's a great field, some really outstanding teams here, so as you should expect, and it's going to be exciting all week.
Thank you, Coach. We'll go ahead for questions with the media. When you are called upon to ask your question, please be sure to state your full name and affiliation. Let's go first with Joe Cook. Joe, go ahead.
Joe Cook, Inside Texas. David, do you feel like playing in a ballpark that's as spacious as the Dish is really helps you out when not only your outfield but your pitching staff now that you're here at TD Ameritrade?
Well, it's been the strength of our team, Joe. You know, our pitching and defense has been kind of the backbone of our team all year, and I thought we played really well defense throughout the postseason. I think the key here for every team is to attack the strike zone and allow your defense to work, and I think that is something we've been good at. So I'd like to think that, you know, I don't know if it's advantageous to us versus anyone else. I just think that that's what we need to do. You know, we just got off the field, and foul territories are huge. The outfield's bigger, a little breeze in. So I really feel like, at least right now, the park's going to play big.
Thank you, Coach. Let's go to our next question from Danny. Danny, please go ahead.
Danny Davis, Austin American Statesman. David, since you guys got up there on Wednesday, what's kind of been the mood of the team? Have they been nervous? Have they been laid back? You know, are they excited? And what would you like to see? Is there a perfect kind of, I guess, mindset you'd like to see going into the World Series?
Yeah, it's a little early to tell. I mean, we came into the city and I didn't notice anybody just over the top acting like they don't belong. I mean, it seemed like they were in a good state of mind. I feel like, you know, we've had good routines. We had a really good workout at Bellevue yesterday. Got on the grass. So the work has been good. So I think the mood is right. I don't see anything that's out of the ordinary. Our team does such a nice job of taking care of business off the field. They know how to handle themselves, and I've noticed exactly that. So I'm just really pleased that they understand that. You know, we're very young, and we only have 2 kids on our team that have any postseason experience at Texas, and then Mikey Antico has had minimum postseason at St. John's. So I don't know if they know any different. They've just done a really nice job of just putting their heads down.
We'll go next to Chris. Chris, go ahead with your question.
Hey, Coach. Chris Bolton, WCBI Sports. Of course, you started the season off this year against Mississippi State. Now you're about to play them now. Just what kind of team are they now compared to the one you started the season against?
Well, they were really good opening weekend, and the one thing is that they run, for an SEC team, I think they run better than most SEC teams. They have power arms. A big part of their pitching staff is relying on the strikeout. They play with a lot of confidence, and they've been here 3 years in a row. So these guys they're veterans. I think they're a great team, and in comparison of now to opening weekend, a lot of similarities of how they started, in my opinion. So what I've seen of late, they play with emotion, they play with confidence, and you know, they've got a couple of guys in that bullpen that are really tough.
Our next question comes from Jeff. Go ahead, Jeff.
Jeff Howell, Horns 24/7. David, you just mentioned Mississippi State's bullpen, but your bullpen has been really good down the stretch. And you talked all year about Witt and Nixon specifically just kind of being built different for most freshmen. Do you feel like, even though those two are young guys in Omaha for the first time, you feel like those two guys specifically are built for moments like this?
I mean, they haven't showed any kinks in their armor up to this point. Even when they've got popped, they've understood it and they've bounced back. You know, and you've seen them a lot, Jeff, and you've watched their emotions and how they go about their business. So, you know, you never know. You come into this environment, it's the first time, it's a young player, but they've been different. They've been different than most true freshmen, and you know, they've played in area code. They've played for Team USA. So I think this is just the next step. I didn't see any kind of breakdown in the postseason, and hopefully we continue to see the same two guys that have been with us all year.
Let's go to Cole next with a question. Cole, please go ahead.
Coach Cole Thompson from Longhorns Country. Just want to get your thoughts on having Mike out in center field with his speed. We've seen it on the base path, but for what Mississippi likes to do with the liners and driving into the outfield, does having his speed give you some comfortability overall?
Well, anytime you have speed in the outfield, it's advantageous. You know, there's no part of our defense that we feel like we try to protect. We feel like we're very solid throughout the defensive team. You know, and I truly believe EK, Hodo, even DC could all three, including Mike, play in the middle of the field. Our mesh with Kennedy and left and Mike in center and Hodo is the best, but all three of them play like center fielders. So I'm glad that they get good jumps and they understand angles, but it's a big park. It's going to be loud, so they're going to have to make sure that even their nonverbal communication is good, especially pre-pitch, and then or pre-pitch verbal, and then during the game they're just going to have to understand where each other are. I think that's a key. You know, we talk about awareness of conditions, and so, you know, it's their job to kind of understand their positioning without moving too far from where they normally stand, and then it's their job to also, you know, go get the ball. We expect them to catch everything, and I don't see anything different this weekend. Mike is, yeah, he can really run. I think when you see him out there, sometimes he looks like he's gliding, but it just his rhythm in his running is really good.
We'll go next to Evan with a question. Evan, please go ahead.
Hey, Coach. Evan Bland with the Omaha World-Herald. I actually wanted to ask you about Eric Kennedy a little bit and what it is about his game, whether defensively or with the bat, that has made him a lineup regular for you guys this year and in his career.
It's a combination, but I think it starts with his mentality. Eric has been a kid since his freshman year that you couldn't tell if he's 3 for 4 or 0 for 4, and he's gone through some periods of really struggling, but he's found other ways to help the ball club, and I think that's a tribute to his mentality, us continuing to believe in him, and him just understanding he can help in other ways. If it's hit by a pitch, draw a walk, if it's lay a bunt down, or go make a great defensive play. He made a big play back right before we went to the conference tournament when he was really struggling. And, you know, it's a defensive play, and you could just see his teammates rallying around him. So, you know, he's a teammate favorite because they just appreciate how hard he plays, and, you know, he never has excuses. So I think when you put his mentality in with mixing his skill, and if he gets on time in his swing and feels comfortable there, he can really do some damage.
And I guess one quick one, if I could, I wanted to ask you about the Major League Draft getting pushed back to July. As someone who's been around the game as long as you have, what do you see maybe as the pros or the cons of that, where maybe the distractions aren't here now, but you kind of want to figure out what you have for your program next year too?
It's tough. A couple of reasons. I mean, you're dealing with, you know, scholarship renewals are due July 1st, or we have to turn those in by the 2nd. And then you have a draft that's 2 weeks later. You have the transfer portal that's become a major issue this summer. And so it's just a lot of unknown. And I think that's the frustrating piece of it is you want to be fair to your players. You want to make sure they understand where they stand. But at times we don't know. We're dealing with the draft that, you know, a handful of guys that will they sign, will they get drafted? And, you know, what do we do with their scholarship money? Do we move it to the next guy? And so it's just a lot of unknown. I think it's tough on our kids to deal with it. It's definitely tough on, you know, us managing and doing what's best for all of our families. And so we just have to move on and deal with it and do the best we can.
Thank you.
Theo, go ahead with your question.
Sure, Coach. Between you and Mississippi State, there's almost 50 combined College World Series appearances. When you played them that first game, did you think you might see them again here in Omaha? And how fitting is it that two programs like this will face off on this stage?
Well, Globe Life, we felt like all 6 teams there were Omaha caliber teams. So to say that Mississippi State would or would not be here, I just thought there was no doubt you had 6 teams that were in the top 10 at the time, and rightfully so, really good ball clubs. And then, a handful of factors have to play. You need to stay healthy. You need to have a little luck every now and then, but you create that. So, no, I'm not surprised at all that they're here. I think they're a veteran team that has learned how to win within their program.
Let's go to Dustin with the next question.
Hey, Dustin McCombs from OrangeBloods.com. David, what do you want to see from Ty early on that kind of lets you know that he's in a good place and able to generate some success? It seems like over the last month, he's increased that slider usage, throwing the changeup a little more to lefties. They've got some lefties in that lineup. Are those a couple of things that he's got to get established early on?
Yeah, I think he's going to have to pitch. I don't think he can just go out there and depend solely on his fastball. So I think he's going to have to continue to pitch and utilize his slider around his fastball. But I think more than anything for any pitcher, but especially Ty, is strike one and trying to work a heading count, especially early in the game, to get some really good rhythm in his delivery and in the pace of the game. I think it's important for our team. Understanding it's a big ballpark and don't change anything, but it plays and it benefits the pitching. So, we've got to be in attack mode, and I think that's going to be the main thing that Ty needs to establish, is just attacking the strike zone. And if they do anything against him, if they score a couple runs early or not, he just needs to stay in that mindset of attack and let his defense work.
All right, we'll do a few more questions here. Let's go next to Joe. Joe, go ahead.
David, with Ivan, it seems like he's been in a little bit of a rut recently. What have you been telling him over the past week? And also any ideas to potentially move Cam ahead of him or change anything up at this point, or just let him still bat clean up?
Who, Ivan? You said Ivan, right?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, he has been struggling, but we wouldn't be here without Ivan. And we've looked at potential options, pinch hit for him in Super, which was good for our team, good for Peyton. But I think every player in the lineup has to understand that at some point they have to perform. And if they don't, we have a good bench. But you have to be able to do that without putting pressure on yourself, and that's the fine line. As far as I'm concerned, he's our cleanup hitter, and he'll be in there.
Let's go to Danny with a question. Danny, go ahead.
David, I don't know what the travel rules are for Omaha, but was Austin able to come with you guys, and what has his role been since his injury with this team?
Well, unfortunately, we have a 40-man roster with 27 players. You do the math with 27 players, and then our coaching staff, and you look at our support staff, and, I mean, there's your number. And, as a player, if you can't come in a managerial role, you have to be on the 27, and so it's really difficult to bring a player that can't perform for you. But his role has been to support. He's been great. It's been tough on him. He came in my office 2 days ago or before we left, and would love to be here, of course, but unfortunately he can't. It's just the way the limitations are set up. But he's been great. He's working individually to get himself healthy again, and he's been great for the young players, and just being around and kind of communicating with those guys has been kind of what he's done.
Cliff, go ahead with your question. Cliff might be having problems unmuting himself. Let's go to Roger. Roger, go ahead.
Hey, David, Chris Tavares with KXAN News in Austin. What are the emotions like right now with 2 days to go? How do you keep everything in check, and how do you keep this team focused on the play on the field and not the atmosphere and the circus that is Omaha for the College World Series?
You know what? Because we're young, in 2018 we came in, we felt like we overachieved. We really maximized who we were, and we got hot at the right time. But we got to Omaha a day later than we did this year, and we opened up the tournament, and then we were 2-out. And I didn't feel like we ever really settled into the tournament until about midway through game 2 when Florida was up 6-0, and it almost looked like then they took their breath. So I think it's been beneficial for us to be in bracket 2 and play a little later in the tournament, to just take a step back and watch all the festivities and understand it a little better than just, BP Fungo, here we go, we're playing and we're on live national TV and, first game. So every kid is going to potentially handle it differently. I just got to trust that everything they've done up to this point is going to be a continuation, and that's what we're hoping for.
Let's go to Cole with a question. Cole, go ahead.
Coach, you kind of mentioned it a little bit earlier this week on Trey and how he's developed, especially with the bat. With him defensively and now his bat kind of coming along, does that give you comfort towards the bottom of the lineup?
Yeah, the bottom of our lineup was very productive over the postseason, especially in the Supers with Trey leading the pack there. He's got skill. There's, like I said earlier, there's a comfort with our defense. If we put the ball in play, we feel like they're going to be in a good spot to field those. But offensively, I just think that he's getting some pitches and kind of in a good spot to go to contact. So hopefully that continues. I think with any of our guys, when they start trying to do too much, trying to force at bats, get out of the zone, it's not a good combination for us to have success. So we got to maintain patience. We've got to be willing to allow the at bat to come to us without forcing that. And I've noticed that with Trey. And that doesn't mean not to swing early in the count. It just means, be ready for hitters' counts, be ready for hitters' pitches versus getting yourself out early. And, that happens too when you deal with stuff. Sometimes you got to get going a little sooner just to get to it. And then, it's hard to not pull the trigger. But he's just seeing the ball well. And so hopefully he can continue that.
All right, let's try one more time to get to Cliff. Cliff, are you able to unmute yourself?
Yeah, I got it. Thanks for coming back to me. Hi, Coach. Cliff Thornton, Fox 7 Sports here in Austin. Just a quick question about Zach, and you kind of touched on 2018 a minute ago, but obviously he was one of the few guys that actually made that trip. What are you seeing from him heading into this week from, just from a leadership standpoint and trying to apply those lessons learned from 2018 to help himself and share with his teammates?
Yeah, Zach can get emotional. At times you can see on the back end of the Supers, it, most likely his last time he played at the Dish. And so, he gets a little cerebral and he kind of reflects a little bit. So he's just got to stay in his lane when it comes to staying focused and working and leading by example. I feel like with this team we have a lot of kids that lead by example from young to old. So I don't think Zach needs to come in here and try to give a big rah-rah speech or try to do something he hadn't done all year. So for me, it's Zach continuing to prepare like he has, and then probably just catching his breath and just relax and really enjoy it. And I think that's something that kind of gets lost where we're all here to win a championship and we talk about forcing at bats. Well, we don't want to force the game. We don't want to force any piece of it, but it's such a fine line because you want to perform. So just catching your breath and realizing the accomplishments that you've made the entire season and just try to get your mindset to stay right there and be ready to play and just have some fun with your teammates. And that's something that I've really noticed with this team is that they've been so good at acknowledging the success of their teammates, and that's very appreciative as a coach and as a staff.
All right, Coach, we'll end here with a follow-up from Theo. Go ahead, Theo.
Sure. In that first game against Mississippi State, you saw Christian McLeod get the start. On Sunday, it's going to be Will Bednar. What do you know about him, and how do you prepare for a guy like Bednar?
Well, he probably wouldn't be in school if he didn't get hurt. So, I mean, he's got stuff. He's got potential first 2-round stuff. You know, he pitches with emotion and aggression. I think, you know, you've just got to slow that down a little bit. But to me, he's, you know, the biggest thing you see that stands out, because everybody seems like everybody's 93 and 96 these days, but if he commands the slider, he's going to be really tough. So I think you got to see the slider up, and that's what, to me, looks like his best pitch, and the ability to attack with it is going to be key.
All right, Coach, thank you so much for your time today. We greatly appreciate you speaking with us, and we wish you the best of luck.
All right, thank you.
We will be joined shortly by Zach Zubia. If you have questions for Zach, you can go ahead and raise your hands now, and we will get to as many as we can. Just a reminder, while we wait for Zach to join us, there will be a recording of this posted in the NCAA Digital Media Hub at www.ncaa.veritone.com. Hang tight, and we'll be joined by Zach shortly. Thank you. Thank you, Zach, for joining us today. We really appreciate it. If you can give us just a quick statement about making it to Omaha, then we'll go to questions.
Yeah, I mean, you know, this is the pinnacle of college baseball. We are super excited to be here as a team, super excited personally to be here, and, you know, it's unfinished business now. We got to get going and start playing on Sunday and get ready to play.
Thank you so much. Let's go with our first question from Joe Cook. Joe, go ahead.
Zach, Joe Cook, Inside Texas. This team obviously has the pitching and defense of a lot of different Texas teams of the past, but you, Ivan, Cam, a bunch of different guys have added the power element. How do you feel that makes your offense like a different threat compared to other Texas teams of the past?
Yeah, I mean, I think that this team is very versatile in the way we score. I think we can score with the long ball. I think we can score driving the ball in the gap, so we can also play some small ball, use our speed, and score runs in multiple ways. And I think our offense is very lethal in that way. I think that we're going to be exposed to a lot of different situations throughout the whole tournament, and I think that we're really prepared as an offense totally to compete, whether it's with the long ball, the short game, or just, as we would say, putting around the yard.
All right, let's go next to Cliff. Cliff, go ahead.
Zach, Cliff Thornton, Fox 7 Sports here in Austin. Just your thoughts, and I'm sure you've been asked this a couple of times during the postseason, but you were obviously one of the few guys on this team who were there in 2018 for that brief stay in Omaha. Now that you're there, what kind of memories or thoughts come back about that trip, and what are some of the lessons learned from that trip that you're finding yourself and your teammates applying now?
Yeah, I think that I'm starting to have a couple flashbacks here and there. You know, today was our first day of practice here at TD, and it's all good memories that come back. Obviously, it was a short and not long stint at all, but the information I'm just sharing with my teammates every day is just to understand that it's another baseball game. It's nothing bigger than what you did as a little kid. You're still going to put your pants on the same way when you wake up, and when you show up to the ballpark, nothing changes. Don't get out of your routine. Don't get out of your element. Just got to stay focused, stay the course, and just try to get better every single day, regardless of where you are, whether it's at the high schools or here at TD. So I just preach, stick to your routines. Don't try to do too much, and the game will take care of itself.
Danny, go ahead with the next question.
Danny Davis, Austin American Statesman. Zach, can you take us through your post-game celebration with Cam? Who came up with that idea, and did you know you had those hops before the season started?
You know, we thought of something that would just keep it simple, and you know, I think throughout the whole season, the hops have gone away. They get a little smaller and smaller every series, but you know, it's just a good way for us to kind of celebrate concluding a game, concluding a series win, sweeping a series, or staying alive during a series. So, it's fun to look at Cam across the field, especially because of how fierce of a competitor he is. And, it's just something simple, and we just thought it would be something easy to do.
Jeff, go ahead with the next question.
Jeff Howe, Horns 24/7. Zach, you just were talking about Cam and going into the year, at least from the outside looking in, third base and second base were kind of the two positions that we really didn't know what was going to happen on the infield. Just how much have you been impressed with the work that Cam has put in, and then just how Mitch just kind of seemed to take that second base job and never really let it go?
Yeah, Cam Williams is going to be probably the most hardworking person I've ever seen since I've stepped foot on a baseball field, ever since I was little. He just works so hard, and it's so nice to see him have results and success because he puts in the work to have that success. And then with Mitch stepping up, it's almost indescribable how he's played this year. As a freshman, just stepping up in the lineup. He puts a charge into our offense. He gets on base a lot, hits a lot of balls hard, and he just does a lot of things good. And he's going to be one of those guys that he'll be here for 2-3. I think if he's here for 3 years, then he'll be a great guy for the Texas lineup and for guys to learn from too, because he does a lot of good things in the lineup. He leads by example. He leads with his actions, and he does a really good job.
Dustin, please go ahead with the next question.
Dustin McComb with OrangeBloods.com. Zach, you guys have been so great all year about being steady, being the same team each week. What gives you the confidence that in this new environment that you guys will be able to keep treating this like a business trip?
Yeah, I think that the work that we've put in, the mentality that we've practiced all year was to be put into this type of environment on the national stage with championship aspirations on the line. We work with the intent to be in Omaha. We put ourselves in our work and our visualization to be in Omaha. And I think it's going to pay off because when you put in that work for 6-8 months out of the year to visualize yourself on this stage, you're going to be comfortable whenever you get put on that stage. And I think that this team is just going to be really prepared to take that first step onto the field Sunday night.
Cole, please go ahead with the next question.
Cole Thompson, LonghornsCountry.com. Zach, just want to get your thoughts on Trey. Defensively, he has been outstanding all season, but the Super Regionals, especially in his last few at-bats, he was getting a little bit more power, driving the ball, more extra base hits. Having him towards the bottom of the lineup, does that give you guys a little bit more comfortability, knowing that he can do what he can defensively and now keep that hot streak with the bat?
Whenever Trey takes the field, I think every pitcher on our staff is comfortable with him behind them. He makes all the routine plays, and he makes all the difficult plays look routine as well. And I think that's something that's just a testament to his work. It's a testament to Tulo, all the work that he's put in, not only to Trey, but our whole infield. We work really hard, and we all knew that Trey could swing the bat. He struggled early, but he's got pop in the bat, and he's been barreling a lot of balls, and a lot of balls haven't been falling, so the numbers don't really tell how well he's been playing. But I think that gave him a little bit more confidence coming into Omaha than his Super Regional did. And I'm just excited to see how he performs on this big stage. He's ready for it, and it's going to be a lot of fun to watch him make plays on this field.
All right, Theo, please go ahead with your question.
Sure, Zach. Mississippi State beat you guys as part of a tough opening weekend there in Arlington, but that was exactly 4 months from when you'll play them again. How has your team improved since mid-February, and what do you see as the recipe to beating a good team like Mississippi State?
Yeah, I think that when we took the field against Mississippi State, that we were really young at the beginning of the year. A lot of the guys that we played hadn't really seen the field, hadn't played a full season yet. Now that they've got a full season under their belt, I think that they're more prepared mentally, even more so than physically, to take the field against a team like Mississippi State. It's just going to come down to the basics. It's going to come down to pitching, defense, and getting a timely hit here and there. Both teams are equipped with great arms, great bats, and I think it's just going to be a really well-rounded matchup. It's going to be a fun one too. They're great guys, great team, and we're just excited to take the field.
All right, we'll do a couple more here. John, why don't you go ahead with the next question?
Kind of going off Theo's question there, but what do you kind of remember about facing Christian McLeod the last time you guys faced them? I know it was a long time ago, and now they're kind of a two-parter. What do you kind of remember about that? And also, that was an emotional time because the season had just started right after it was taken away from you guys, and now you're playing them again in another very emotional time in Omaha. Does it kind of feel like the season's kind of come full circle a little, playing this team twice?
I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say that it's come full circle because you could have matched up with anyone here in Omaha, but I think that we didn't know if we were going to play that week because of the ice storm in Texas. And I think that was a big deal to us whenever it came down to it. We didn't know. We were looking at the schedule going, are we going to be able to make it up to Dallas that week because all the roads were frozen over? And, I was like, we had COVID taking away our season last year, and then an ice storm was about to take our opening weekend in Arlington. And it was just a lot of emotions, a lot of uncertainty. So when we got up to Dallas, I thought that it was just a little bit of a whirlwind, and you don't really remember much from that weekend. We just remember that we got run up and down the field pretty much, and we started at 0-3, and I think that's helped us become the team that we are today. We learned from our mistakes up there. We learned what was going to take to compete with the biggest teams on the biggest stage. And when it comes to McLeod, he's a good arm. He's going to get a lot of strikeouts. He's going to make pitches. He's got good stuff, and you just got to get in there and do your best to battle it, have great at-bats, and just compete with him.
Thank you. Chris, go ahead with your question.
Hey, Zach. Chris Bolton, WCBS Sports. I was just curious, how excited is this team to play a team that beat you guys earlier in the season and have a chance to, possibly, even the score here in the College World Series?
Yeah, I think that the opponent to us, it really doesn't matter because we don't like to make it about anyone but our team. And I think that's really important because whenever you start looking at who you're playing, if you make it something bigger than what it is, then, you're putting yourself at a disadvantage because you're starting to shift your focus off yourself and your teammates to other people. And I think that's just something that comes with our mentality, is that we're keep our head down, and we're just excited to take the field regardless of who it is. But yeah, I think that we're excited to take the stage against a great team, and just kind of get to work and get to playing some baseball games out here in Omaha.
All right, we'll do one final question from Cole. Please go ahead, Cole.
Zach, just when you play at the Dish, when you're coming up to bat, you hear the zoos from the crowd. In Omaha, it may not be as loud, but with the Texas fan base coming to support you guys, just how exciting is that going to be for you to be able to step into the batter's box at TD Ameritrade and possibly hear that same crowd?
Oh yeah, you're giving me goosebumps here just thinking about it. The Texas fans, the Longhorn Nation, has been nothing but supportive throughout my 5 years here. They travel well, they're loud, and I just cannot thank them enough for what they do for our team at home and on the road. It's just great people. It's a national logo, it's a national name, and hopefully that we can have a huge crowd out here on Sunday night and continue that throughout the whole week. But yeah, Longhorn Nation, the Texas fans, the people who bleed burnt orange, they're great, and I love them to death, and just hopefully they're loud and rowdy on Sunday night.
All right, Zach, thank you so much for joining us today. We greatly appreciate your time, and we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you, guys.